afternoon. Hello. How is everybody? Welcome to sorry. Oh no. Okay, so welcome to my introduction to urban homesteading series. This is episode 7, and we're going to be discussing top 10 skills to start in gardening. So, first off, I'm going to say hello to you guys out here in chat. We've got Melody from Baker Leg and Let's Dig It. Hi, honey. We've got Rebecca over at Suburban Hillbilly and Tony from Kettle Kitchen. Hello, my darlings. How are you? Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. So first up, I just want, yes, Tanny's home from work. He's had the week off. So if you hear banging, crashing in there, that's because he's constructing a greenhouse in our living room. So, yeah, because like you do, right? Okay. It's a bit wet and damp and cold outside, so he wanted to do it indoors for the most part, and then he'll put all the bits together. I think that's basically the plan at this point. So, yeah, but you do what you do. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the top 10 skills. Now, I want to be a little bit honest here. Okay. It's more like 3 skills and a bunch of jobs or a bunch of things to consider. I would have said probably didn't word it correctly when I put it together. And, but there's still skills, but they're more considerations and jobs to do. Anyway, we'll get through it all. And there's actually about 14 of them. So we'll get there, though. Hello, Annette. How are you, darling? At Annie's Kitchen and Urban Homestead. Welcome in, Seeker. Hello, darling. How are you? Okay. So we're going to start off, and our very, very first thing that we're going to say, and you're probably going to go, oh my gosh, she says this every week. Planning. Do your planning. Okay, there's a lot of things that you need to plan first before you even think about doing a garden. Okay, you need to look at, and it's part of it is research as well. But that's kind of separate thing that I want to get into. So planning is looking at the space that you have, what you're able to do with that space. If you've just got a windowsill, what are you doing, Seeker? Good grief. Right, okay, so there we go. Yep, I'm totally distracted. I'm struggling today, I'm not going to lie, guys. Stuff monkey. Right, okay. So, first off, we're going through planning. Now, planning means that you go out and you have a look at your space. Now, if you've only got a windowsill, but you might have a 4-foot window, you may be able to put shelving in that window and have things on different. Oh, okay. Thinking about 3 skills I mentioned. Okay, cool. You may be able to put shelving in that window to put more things in it to give you that space. Or you may not want to do that because it may be the only window where you actually get some light into where you're living. Do you know what I mean? So, it's up to you, but these are considerations you have to make for yourself. Things like, what you actually want to get out of your garden, what you want to be growing, things that you eat, things that you want to be eating, things that you can't afford to buy, but you probably afford to grow them, things like that. All to do with the planning, but it all comes down to knowing your space really, really well. Okay, so that then goes into our number 2 skill, which is research. Do your research. And when it comes to doing your research, is not just about how to grow things. It's about learning about the space that you have. Now, everywhere has a microclimate. My microclimate might be very different to my next door neighbor's microclimate because she's between 2 buildings and we're on a corner house, which will actually make a difference when it comes down to the wind and things. Okay, so, things like that. We do live in a very windy York, and our road does become a bit of a wind tunnel, and that does happen out the front. So our bed's out the front. That is a consideration that we need to make. But we're also aware that the sun it rises at the back, comes all the way over to the front, and sets just over across the road from here. But, and as summer goes on, those are different times when that happens. And, so it's these things that you need to sometimes not jump into growing things straight away, but looking at the space that you have and learning from it. I mean, yes, we all want to get our gardens in as fast as possible or be growing things as fast as possible. And sometimes it's just a really good idea to learn your space, learn what it's going to do, learn what the flow is going to be, what the shading is, where the sun's going to be, where it gets too hot, where it gets too cold, if you've got frost pockets, all of this kind of stuff. But do your research. Also within that is testing your soil. Now, if you're not going to be using raised beds, but even if you are going to be using raised beds, so if you're going to be using raised beds and you've managed to get hold of some topsoil that someone's giving away because they've had a building project, you want to get that tested before you put it in the beds, because you don't know what's already been on that topsoil. It could already have things like weed killer in it. And if you put that in your raised beds, you're going to have major problems growing things in those beds. It might be that the soil needs serious amendment because it's had all the life sucked out of it, so you want to know exactly what is left, before you fill your beds up with this stuff. It might be free, but it may not be as useful to you as you think it is. Hi, Rita. How are you, darling? Lovely to see you. So what you were saying the other day, Danny and I both are both 6B, but 3,000 miles apart, way different climates and microclimates. Absolutely right. Not sure if it's available in other countries, but here in Perth, Australia, we get monthly emails from Gardenate, which lists what we can grow in our climate each month. Yes, well, there are very similar publications worldwide. So, and all you have to do is actually do, when you're looking at the seeds and stuff as part of your planning and, your research and things, is just have a look on YouTube for YouTubers that are very close to you, gardening YouTubers. Or if you know where the local allotments are, go and talk to the old guys down there. They've been there forever. They've loved their gardening forever. They know that area. They know the microclimates. They know the climate. They know when it's good to do things and when it's not good to do things. Go and learn from the guys who've been doing it for decades, okay? Go and talk to the guys down at the allotments. Simple. Or community gardeners, or someone else that may be in your neighborhood that you know of that does grow. So, go and talk to them. Go and talk to them. I will say this. People who have a very pretty, well-kept front garden tend to have something growing that's edible at the back. Okay, so if you don't actually know of anyone but you spot a garden that is very pretty and well-kept and very looked after, go and knock on the door. Go knock on the door and have a chat to the people in there, because they've lived there for long enough to establish their garden and they know the area. So go and talk to them, use the resources around you that are free and aren't going to cost you anything. Of course, you can go and do all these courses. You can do this course and that course and all kinds of different ones. But, go for free. Go for the free options. Yes, local nurseries as well. If you've got a nursery within a 2-mile radius of where you're living, it within 1 mile, I would say, would be perfect, but within 2 miles is also very useful as well. So yeah, if you do have a local nursery, do go and chat to them. Annie, we seem to have more success with seedlings rather than seeds. Weird. Not so much. Not as weird as you would think. There's several reasons for that, and I will get into stuff like that possibly next week. So yeah, I plant in the ground and also use plastic tubs for raised beds. Yes. Well, see, we have our lasagna beds out the front, what we call the lasagna beds, because they are no-dig beds that we started off with cardboard. Then we put cocoa coir and manure, straw, that kind of stuff all on there to build those beds up. Now we've got wood chip in there as well. And each year we'll add more to those. And then we've got containers, which we've been growing in for the last 5 years, which are, for the most part, they are cut flower buckets from local supermarkets, because all they do is chuck them on landfill. So we go and ask them for them. 9 times out of 10, they will say, yes, here, have them, because they don't want to deal with them. They can't be recycled after the 3rd time of use. And most supermarkets will say, oh, yes, but we have to send them back. That's fine. But if they've already got a number 2 written on them, they will end up going to landfill. So in the little recycle triangle, yeah, they'll end up going to landfill. So you want to make sure that, you know, if you go to the local supermarket and you see someone, just have a chat to them and say, or even the garages, you know, like the petrol stations, gas stations, whatever, wherever sells cut flowers, go and talk to them about their buckets. Okay. Get them for free if you can. Some places sell them on for a couple of quid. It's not a big bother. It's a lot cheaper than other things, but they are the perfect size for growing tomatoes and cucumbers, because they're all 10-litre pots, and you don't need anything more than that for growing tomatoes and cucumbers, which is great. Okay, so your planning is learning everything, figuring out what you want to do with your space and what the best way. The thing is, though, with planning, it's an ongoing process. Planning is an ongoing process. It's always going to change, because every year it's going to change. And it may change within the year that you've already planned things for, because you're realizing that that won't work. So you're going to have to change it, which is fine. And that's not a problem. So don't worry yourself about it being an issue or anything like that, because it's never going to be an issue, because planning is ongoing, and gardening changes from season to season and can even change from week to week. So doing that, but it's all about also doing your research, because research and keeping an eye on what's going on and being on top of things and learning about your environment, your garden's environment, what's there, you know, doing your research on what's possible is also part of it. Then we've also got your knowledge base. Okay, so learning, different from research. Research is finding out the information. Learning is an ongoing process, because research, we look up specific things, okay, for specific reasons. With a knowledge base, you want to increase that with what you're doing, and that will increase every year that you are growing what you are growing. Okay, so, or if you want to learn more about more things like companion planting and things like that, or what the best pests is. Sorry, guys. What the best pest and weed, I want to say repellents, but I'm not talking about repellents, because we're not talking about we're talking about organic gardening here. We don't want to be using any chemicals. If we're going to all the effort of growing our food, the last thing we want is to be putting poisons down in our garden where we're growing the food, right? So pest control and weed controls. So, you know, you want to look at what's best for you, look at what other people are doing and seeing how they're managing and, you know, all that kind of thing. So Rita's saying, we live in an area where a lot of Amish live. The women plant their gardens and plant different flowers around certain plants. Yes. Yesterday we were in their community and met a beautiful couple. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So one of the biggest, like I said, one of the biggest things you want to do is to, oh gosh, we've already talked about soil testing, haven't we? Okay, but we didn't do it all the way and I got myself distracted. So I'm really sorry, guys, because I've actually been really, I'm struggling the last few days with chronic fatigue. So my brain is a little bit unfocused because I can't concentrate. Okay, so I'm doing my best. But the soil testing is really important. So if you are moving into a new place, you're looking to use the ground and not make raised beds or growing containers, you want to test that ground to see what's in it, what it needs, what it's lacking, all of that kind of thing. So you want to test all of that. Also, if you get free soil and things like that, so that you know whether there's been any poisons put in it or if it's lacking. Yeah, we've already talked about all of this. Oh, gosh. Sorry, guys. Yeah, my ADHD brain is kicking in a lot stronger today because yeah, brain's not working. Right, so yeah, pest control. There's so many different ways of, so those are your three main skills that you need to be doing. You need to be doing planning, research, and constant knowledge building. Okay, so learning about your space, learning about the plants you're growing, learning about all of that kind of stuff, learning how to save your seeds so you can grow it for the next year, so you're not going to be out of pocket every year. You know, that kind of stuff. So it's very, very important stuff. Now maybe I can listen since my husband finally went back to his office. Rebecca, bless your heart. It's okay. My house has been turned into a greenhouse making factory, so it's all good. It's all fine. I totally get it. So yeah. So some of the jobs that you're going to be looking at doing, because those are your three main skills, and you've got all of these little jobs that you're going to have to look at. So when it comes down, once you've done your planning, you're going to know what sort of beds you want, whether you can do containers, whether you're going to do beds or you're going to do raised beds. How you're going to do it will then depend on the jobs that you want to look at next. But one of the major things you want to be doing is setting up your compost making area. Now, whether you choose to use the compost bins, the big tall ones that we all call Daleks, or if you want to get a tumbler, which, can I just say, they're not that great. They're not that great. Or you set up like a pallet bay kind of setup. Whatever you're going to do, set up the best kind of compost setup for you and your family. You know, so yeah, that's one of the first things you want to be doing. The second thing you want to be doing is organizing your space. So you want to be putting things out where you want to be putting them. Where the beds are, they're going to work the best for you, and the space in general. It doesn't mean planting anything yet. It just means setting out that space so you know what you have without putting anything out yet, so that you end up with a bunch of really heavy things that are going to be too hard to move. So if you put your pots and your beds and things out first, or line it up with strings and whatever, so you know where you're going to be sitting, it's going to make life easier for you. Okay. Hang on. Okay. So Rita's seeing the couple that she met yesterday tomorrow. If it's not still storming, I want to know what flowers and what plants. Yesterday we discussed canning and butchering. I brought a gallon jug of local maple syrup. Oh. Hey, Ginger! Woohoo! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Janet. Welcome in. Hi, Jamie. Sorry, guys. Hey, guys. So, yeah. See, now Seeker is a model maker. Okay, so this is his suggestion. Maybe spend a wet evening making a scale drawing of your space and cut out the space, the containers and beds, or trying different arrangements, which is actually a really cool idea. It's a really, really cool idea. I use powdered cayenne pepper on my plants where beetles get in my plants. That's an interesting one. See, now, one of the things that we use, depending on the beds, depending on, because we're in urban area, okay, and we are talking about urban homesteading, one of the things that I do is I make mini hoop houses, and they're done with old poles that we have from greenhouses or, plastic houses that just don't work anymore. We've kept the poles. We put those in the ground. We use some old blue plumbing pipe. And, well, if you have a look at the thumbnail on this video, you'll actually see that because that's my garden. Yeah, so, and then we put scaffolding, debris netting over the top and pin it down to the ground. Now, not only does that stop the insects we don't want get into our plants that will cause severe damage, like the cabbage white butterflies and their eggs to our brassicas, etc. But it will also stop things like the local cats from digging up the beds, the local fox from digging up the beds. It makes it difficult for rodents, etc., to go in there until the plants are actually big enough to fend for themselves. It doesn't stop slugs. It doesn't stop slugs. But there are different ways to deal with all of that. Suburban hillbilly. I do that every year, but not to scale. I've had the same garden space for so many years. I know what will fit. I start almost all my plants from seed. There you go. Squirrels don't like anything hot either. No, they don't. I want to turn our front yard into a food forest with various fruit trees. That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. See, it's all about looking at your space, knowing what you can do with it, and also what you want as a family or the residents within your house, what they will eat, what they won't eat, what is useful to you, or what can you grow that maybe you won't eat if you have space to have things that you're not going to eat that you can use as a barter ingredient with other people so that they might actually grow something that you want, but you can grow something that they want. They can't grow it, you can, and then you can do a swapsies. Whatever works, isn't it, at the end of the day? What do you use to stake plants? I have tried different things. Nothing stays up very well. What do we use? I use the old poles that we have from the greenhouses. If we've got spare poles, or we use bamboo. I've got bamboo that I use. The other thing that I use are branches and dead willow. We do have some trellising, not a lot. It's all about the tomatoes, peppers, beans, and okra in my house. Yeah, see here it's about the tomatoes and cucumbers, the chilies, the peppers, the aubergine, and the squash of every variety in this house, and the herbs, and the garlic, and what else do I grow? Beans, strawberries, raspberries. Black currants. There's so many things. Slugs hate salt, or is that a no-no? It is a no-no if it's anywhere near where you're going to be growing food. Most plants will tolerate a certain amount of salt, but they won't tolerate enough that which would upset the slugs. So what is better to do is to get an old can of beer and stick it in an old jam jar or something of the like, and stick it in the middle of the bed, and then they go in after the beer and then they drown in it because they're pish heads. So yeah, there you go. Right, so they're party animals, these slugs, and they drown happy, shall we say. So okay, so what size? I just use little ones. Just a little one. I don't use big jars, just little jars, and I empty them out every few days. Once there's a few slugs in there, because so yeah, we just get rid of them then. Or if I catch them and I'm standing there and they get flung across the road. Seeker, naughty, spankies, not in a good way. Get me in trouble. One of the other things that you really, really need to do and need to keep an eye on is record keeping. Now, record keeping is really, really important. Having a garden diary is really, really important, because you write in what you've grown, what you've started growing at what time. So you write down what seeds you've got and what you've put out, and that kind of thing. And then you keep updating it to see where things are going. Now, there's a lot of different ways of creating the garden journal. Now, you can either have it each type of seed you're growing and then just write it's on the same page, or you can go week by week or month by month, or whatever is best for you. I use T-posts and small cattle panels. I think I have 40, trying to count from memory. Well, I haven't got room for one of those. Let alone 40. I made a saltwater moat for my potato plants once. It worked really well. That's really kind of cool. I have actually thought of doing like a saltwater moat or a bear moat or something. But the thing is, rain, you're going to have to keep topping it up all the time. My concern with having a saltwater moat, if it's out in the garden, is that salt water is going to go back up somehow into the plants, so but there are ways. I mean, like I've seen Tony over at the Little Farmer's Farm. He does moats for his overwintering brassicas, and he uses a seed tray or a gravel tray, fills it with water, puts an upturned pot in it, then puts his pot with the brassica in it on top, so they can't get past the moat to go up that into the thing, but it keeps the brassica out of the salt water. And I'm thinking that might be a really good idea if that's the kind of thing. There you go. Yeah, stood on a raised plinth. There you go. So it's probably the same idea, actually. Okay, Jamie. No worries, sweetheart. Love you too. Take care. Okay, so yeah. So record keeping, really, really important. Figure out what works, what it doesn't work. If growing it in one area didn't work as well as growing it something in a different area, swap them around, and then you've got that record to let you know how it's going. It also lets you know what's worked and what hasn't worked. maybe you do need to change out where things need to go, or maybe that just doesn't work in your area where you are. So salt moat would be okay around potatoes grow ready salty crisps. Yes. Cool. Awesome. All right. Okay, so there you go. There's those. Then there's looking at being organized. So you want to be organized because you want to know where your stuff is at any one time. Now, if you've got feed hiding in the kitchen and chicken pellets somewhere else and something else, try and keep all your stuff together. Try and be organized about what you're going to do, where you're going to work on first, where the best place is, and then just work a good work plan around all of that. There's a lot, there is a lot of organizing, trying to get things done. Successional sowing takes organization. Knowing what's going to grow this month and next month, and what you've got to get in and what you've got to pull out, and all of those things, it all takes organizing. So you want to make sure that you are at least a little bit organized. Use guttering and fittings for a moat. Provide a runoff to a safe area just in case. Yeah, see, I think what Smurfy was talking about was the whole gravel on a plinth kind of idea. Gravel tray that's holding the water with a plinth in the middle with the pots on top. And I think that's kind of where he was going with it, which is a really good idea, actually, when you think about it, if you've got the room for that kind of thing. So, yeah. Anywho, then we've got to look at composting and organic fertilizers. Okay. We did touch a little bit on building the compost bin, but we didn't talk about what we would put in it and what sort of compost you can have. So composting in general is your greens, your browns, your carbons, and anything organic kind of thing. So your grass clippings you can put in cardboard, you can put in paper, you put in your twigs and your wood chips and all of that kind of thing, plus your garden waste and your kitchen waste. And you can just leave it to go and do its own thing. Usually, in general, it takes 3 to 6 months. If you've got manure type, if you're lucky enough to have space to have manure, okay. When it comes down to anything that's bigger than a guinea pig or rabbit, you're going to have space to let that mature for at least 6 to 12 months, depending on the animal. Sheep and goat takes 6 months. Quail takes 3 months. Rabbit and guinea pigs you can put straight on the beds. So maybe make friends with someone who has guinea pigs and rabbits if you can't have them yourself, so that you can take the bedding off them and then you can put it straight on your beds. Cow, horse, anything that kind of size is going to take a year. So, that's where the big heaps come in. So yeah. If you can get to a rural area, look at farm gates, often have free or cheap manure signs. Yes, they do. And many of them also, they support the local allotments and will bring down trailer loads of muck every year. So, it's a great thing. I start with a plan every year, then I get out there and I always change my mind according to the mood of the day. Yes, that right there, really, really important. Okay, because it will. You can have all the best ideas in the world, but chances are it will change. Because all of a sudden you're going, no, I don't actually want that there after all. So, but you want to also when it comes down to this, you want to build your knowledge base, and that includes things like gardening basics, like when to grow your seeds, what grows with what, what not to grow next to what not, and that kind of thing. Yes, we know you live in a rural area. I'm not talking, oh, seriously, Seeker. Oh, so jealous. Seriously. Green. I'm going green here with envy. But also knowing basic terms in gardening. Now, whether you remember to use those terms on an everyday basis is neither here nor there, but at least you'll understand what people are talking about when you do hear those terms. So things like knowing the difference between determinate and indeterminate varieties. So determinate varieties tend to be the bush type varieties, which only grow to a certain size, and indeterminate are the ones that are the creepers, growers, vine types that just keep growing and growing and growing until there's nothing left. Do you know what I mean? So, knowing your terms is really quite important, especially when you're trying to plan out space and see what you have room for. It may be that you only have space for determinate varieties, so you need to be able to know what those varieties are. So, yeah. So know your terms, know what they mean by those terms as well. Also, just because one variety of something works for somebody else that lives 2 doors down from you doesn't mean it's going to work for you, and doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it. So use what you know. Use what you know.
Excuse me.
Oh, jeez.
Do you know what you just say there? Use what you know.
Yes.
Knowledge. Read that.
Oh.
Oh, my head.
Okay, so we're going to help Tanny with the greenhouse, apparently. What do you need me to do?
No, because basically, what's annoying me, right? Look at this, right?
Sorry about this.
Assemble.
Smoke if you've got them.
Assembled. All right?
Yes.
Done. Turn the page.
Right.
Right? Now
Right.
I have to do this.
Yes.
So I don't have no force.
You don't have any fours?
No. I have 5 and 6, but I don't have force. So work this one out. This is where it gets confusing. So there you go. Force.
Okay.
4L, 4R. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this and this and this. Then you turn the page. Where's the numbers on there?
Well, that's the 4R and 4L that you've just put together, isn't it?
No. That says a 4, not the 4L, a 4R. It says a 4. Quote unquote, any court of law that will say a 4.
We're not going to court. You're putting together a greenhouse, darling.
Right. No, it gets even better. All right, it gets even better. Honestly, look at it. Right, there you go. Then you assemble the bottom bit there. Then you put the back bit up there. Turn the page next.
Right.
All right. Then you put the polycarbonate on the back bit and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then turn the page next. Oh, look where the door's gonna go. Here in the middle. Turn the page next.
What?
Turn the page next. It'll tell you that the door goes in the middle. Go on, carry on. Oh, look, the door's in the middle there now.
Okay. You know what you're doing.
I don't.
You do know what you're doing.
I'm giving up for today.
Well, give up for the day. That's fine. As long as I've got. Okay, that's fine. It's all good. It's all right, darling.
That is B.
Yes. It's a load of bollocks. You can say bollocks.
No, I was going to say bullshit. But then you got the picture there. Then you go halfway down. You've got like
but the door's not even in the side. It's down the end, isn't it?
Yeah, the picture on there. There's the doors down the side. But when you go down further down, the door's in the middle of your thing. You're like, what the? How the fucking confused people?
He does know I'm live, darling. Yes. But yeah, the distractions.
Bullshit.
They're definitely. You're gonna get me in trouble. No.
You said I can say whatever I want.
No, I said you could say bollocks.
I can say bollocks, but I can't say bullshit, which is actually a type of manure.
I know.
And what you doing, gardening?
Yeah.
Oh, you were talking about manure then.
Oh, so you're talking about adding to the compost heap, are you, dear?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Basically your greenhouse.
Right, okay. You're not going to get to see us putting it up together. Well, you might do. I don't know.
You're not.
When you're not. No, probably not. Hi, Katie. How are you? Hi, feathered friends. Homestead. How are you, darling? Oh, good grief. Yeah. So I've just had a very quick look at the instructions for the greenhouse, which arrived today. Tanny's obviously he's trying to put it together. It makes no sense because the pictures don't add up, and nor do the numbers. So whoever put it together needs a spanking, and not in a good way.
Honestly, I've unwrapped every piece and put them all in order.
Yeah.
All the pieces in order and everything else.
Right.
All pieces in letters,
Yes.
orders, nuts, bolt,
Right.
all in the place, designated, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
4L, 4R, you know what I mean? All together,
Yes,
3L. There's not even a 4 in there.
But that's what the 4R and the 4L put together makes is the 4.
No. The 4L and 4R is literally 10-foot long pieces.
Oh.
So why would they be at the side?
Oh.
Then it's a 10-foot by 6.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. I don't know.
It says join 4L to
You're the one who puts it together. I'm the one who grows the stuff inside it.
Then join 5 together, and then join 6 together, then 8L, 8 to 8R, then 17L to 17R, which I have done.
Okay.
And then it tells me to go, assembling the main frame. Let's do this. Oh, I've got 7s. I got a 6 and a 5. I haven't got any more.
Really sorry, guys. All right, give it up for today.
Give it up.
Okay, so that was Tanny. Rita says, we planted spiral beets last year. They were so sweet. We tried Greek peppers. We grow a lot of jalapenos, basil, oregano, cilantro. When the cilantro blooms, gather the seeds and grind it up. No, you're grinding it up for ground coriander. Cumin is a completely different plant, darling. It's not ground cilantro. It's actually ground coriander. Yeah. Okay, just making sure you understand the difference. Yeah. Yeah, he's funny. He is silly. Hey, Ginger's home. Yahoo! Gotta love instructions. Yes. That's why we tend to call them destructions rather than instructions. Yeah, he does read instructions. He tries really, really hard. Bless his heart. Yeah, I know. Honey, everyone says we believe in you. You've got this. Oh, yeah. Most don't wonder why they have extra pieces. Yes, well, that's absolutely right. But Tanny is definitely one who does try to read the instructions as much as he can. Of course, he does bring them to me a lot because he is quite severely dyslexic. So if the instructions don't come on orange paper, he struggles. In it, love.
I could go to IKEA and put IKEA stuff up together.
Yeah.
I would advise everybody not to go to this site just because the instructions are bullshit. And that's a proper compost.
Yeah. Okay. Ginger says, hi,
Tanny. Hello. Do you want a greenhouse? Free.
So he's having fun. Feathered Friend says, I ordered a shed a couple of years ago and the instructions were in Chinese. I feel his pain. I know. See, I don't... I have to admit, I'm not the one who reads instructions. I don't tend to read the instructions because I can see in general how things go together. But
I can work with stuff, honestly.
Yeah, I know you can.
I can do stuff, right? And honestly, a greenhouse, I've disassembled a 12-foot greenhouse and put it all together, you know what I mean, almost. But that instruction is absolutely stupid.
Mm.
To be honest, it's literally...
It doesn't make any sense at all, does it? Okay, so first off, the first clue that we had that the instructions weren't going to work was earlier today when he was putting the door together, and they said to put the top and the bottom of the frame on and then put the polycarbonate sheets in. But you couldn't put them in because you'd already put the top and the bottom part of the framework in it. Yeah, so that all had to come undone. We put the polycarbonate in so that you could actually... Yeah. That was a clue that it was going to be fun. I'm not going to make a video of him putting it together, I don't think, because there's going to be...
a lot of F words.
I won't be able to edit it enough. I'm sorry. Suburban Hillbilly says, hey, Tanny, tell us how you really feel. No.
Somebody asked me the question.
Just need to play music in the background, not have any video volume. I could do that. However, I'm pretty sure most people would be able to lip read. Lots of music, beep, beep, beep. Yeah, exactly.
It will be just beep, beep, beep. It'll be the eye look as well.
Yeah.
Just calling her every name under the sun. And then when she goes, oh, I need to go sit down for a bit. I'm busy. Doing what? Watching you. Filming you.
So, yes. One of the skills that you're going to need when you start gardening is patience. Okay? Patience when you get instructions for items that, don't make sense. And you're going to have to put it together yourself with, the common sense that you was given. Put it down. Leave it alone.
I've seen smaller children's books. You know what I mean? Less thicker.
Oh my gosh.
I tell you what, kids want to be educated in life. You know what I mean? Give them this one and go, here. There you go. Do that. They'll run off screaming to the parents going, Mother, I've been verbally abused by a book.
Google it. There may be a video. I'm not sure there will be. But, we'll just see how it goes.
Don't worry, I've already thought about that one.
Yeah. But it is one that, it's specific to the company, and whether they have a video on it or not, I don't know. They may not.
Yeah, they will.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've already thought about that one. That's stupid.
Tell him to go eat a tanny cake so you can do your stream. Well, I would, only there aren't any tanny cakes because
nobody's made them.
If you have a look on my community page, you'll see why.
Sleep all the time.
Yeah, well, that would be because I have chronic fatigue issues, which have been hitting me the last couple of days.
Full of crap. That's just because you've been a lazy cow.
Really? Tanny, stop it! He's laughing, by the way. He's just making fun. But, yeah. So, naughty. Okay, so I'm probably going to have to call it here, guys, to be honest.
No, you're not. I'm going now.
Are you going?
Yes, I'm going. So, I know for a fact you don't want me in
Well, you're just being naughty now.
I'm not being naughty. I'm just being myself.
Yeah, you're being naughty.
You can be naughty, but I can't be naughty.
I'm not as naughty as you.
Sorry. Just run back in my throat.
Not when I'm live. Oh dear. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about was I was actually trying to get through that was the compost and organic fertilizers. So we've talked about organizing your compost area and then setting up your compost bin, but there are other organic fertilizers. Now, a lot of people over here in the UK and in the States tend to grow a lot of comfrey. Now, comfrey is really, really good for actually for yourself as well, and is very good for bone health and muscle tissue health as well. So having it as a tea is really, really good. And if you have issues with arthritis or bones or weak bones or musculature issues, having comfrey tea once a day is a really, really good thing to do. But it also makes a really, really good fertilizer tea as well. Very similar to nettle tea, which I have a 2-year pot of stewing in the shed, and I'm too scared to open because I will say this, it stinks. It is one of the worst smelling things on the planet, but it is so good for your garden. Absolutely amazing. So it's a really, really good one to have. Plus, again, like I said, there's animal manures and all that kind of thing as well. But you want to make sure that what you're getting is pesticide free as possible, because there have been many issues recently with people ending up with pesticides in compost, especially over here, because at the moment we are there's a rule that at the end of I think it's the end of this year. It was either the end of the last year or the end of this year that peat is not going to be allowed to be in bagged composts anymore, because the peat comes from the peat bogs. The peat bogs are an ecosystem that are actually dying because of the amount of peat that is being collected to go into bagged composts. So, and because they take thousands and thousands of years to develop, they are removing peat from peat composts. So we're not going to have peat compost anymore. So a lot of the places are just grabbing up a lot of the local council green waste, and they're not letting it. Number one, they're not bringing it up to temperature to cook properly. Number two, they're not checking it first. Number three, it's not being filtered. Like they're not getting the pieces of plastic and glass and things out of it. I got a really nasty cut last year in my hand from a piece of glass from the compost, just putting my hand in a new bag of compost. There was, and there's big bits of plastic and all sorts of stuff in it. It's very twiggy because they're not breaking it down properly. They're trying to get a big turnover very quickly. What we found with these is that buying them the year before you need them and leaving them to mature in their bags for a year is probably the best way of doing it, because it gives it that extra year to mature. It will break down more of the twiggy bits, and they will be able to be pulverized a lot easier and a lot better. But we've also found that, and Steve over at Digwell Green Fingers has been doing a lot of experimenting with a lot of these new composts coming out, peat-free composts, and doing soil tests and stuff on them. Part of the issue that you have with them as well is that they are because they're so new, they don't have any nutrients in them. There are no nutrients in them yet. None, because they're too young. So people are trying to grow in these brand new composts and they're not getting what they need out of it. You're better off. What? Suburban Hillbilly says, I found a hoof in a bale of pine straw. What? What? That's disturbing. Sales of peat to use on private gardens and allotments will be banned in England from 2024. Yeah, I knew it was coming up very, very soon. So the one thing that I would suggest, they're trying to ban it in the US also, yeah. I'll do lots of research on making our own compost. Okay, I'm going to... Comfrey is good for moles too. Read the Duncton Wood series. Just saying, great reads. Okay. So I'm going to give you a link to a book. Neil. Here we go. Right. Now, I don't know if you guys have watched the channel Simplify Gardening, but Tony has written a comprehensive guide on making your own compost. It's about that thick. It's huge. All right. There is nothing that you don't need in there. If they have any questions about compost, it'll be in that book. So I'm going to send you the link. Okay. All right. So I'll pop it into chat now. Gosh, if I can. Oh. What's it doing? Hang on. Oh no, what's it doing? Hang on. Control V. There we go. Right. See if that works. There you go. All right. So that link there will take you to Tony's book. It's his composting masterclass. It is an incredible read. There is nothing in there that you won't, it covers everything. And if you don't watch his channel already, I would suggest you do so, because there's nothing about growing that man doesn't know. Seriously. I mean, this is a guy who accidentally grew 75 kilos of potatoes in his compost just because he threw potato peels in there. Link works for you? Awesome. In the US, most cooperative extension services have free publications. Most can be printed from online. Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, so we don't have extension offices over here. We don't have them. So, but there are a lot of free resources as well. But I would seriously invest in their book. I don't get a kickback from that. I'm not affiliated. I'm not sponsored. He's a mate, but I do know that his information is some of the best. He is on YouTube, and his channel is, I'll get it for you now. This is Tony. Okay. Here's Tony's channel. It's quite a big channel, but he is a lovely, lovely guy. And if you've got questions, he will always try and answer them. So, don't be scared to ask him, because, he does he will talk to you. He will. And he has a group on Facebook as well, and a page, I think. Might be just a group. I'm not sure. But, yeah. but he has got a lot of that sort of stuff. But yeah, that book up there is an investment. Okay, books like that are investments. They're not frittering your money away or anything like that. You have to start looking at things like that as an investment. No worries, Annette, that's fine, darling. So yeah, there we go. So I know it's been a bit all over the place, my lovelies, and I'm sorry about that, but I will be writing this one up. Next week we're going to go into more depth on a couple of these points. We're going to go into a little bit more depth with a couple of these points in here, a couple of the jobs. So we'll go into that. Hopefully we might actually have a guest. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm hoping to have a guest or a couple. We see. Feather Friends Homestead, I make my own chicken droppings, coffee grounds, eggshells, leaves, and grass clippings. Grows huge vegetables. Absolutely. Tea bags, anything that comes from the kitchen. Suburban Hillby, thank you, darling. Becca, thank you, darling. Yeah, I know it was a bit of a silly one, but it's all in good fun. So not a problem at all. Now I will be on Tony's live, his late night Friday night live. When that's on. If he's still here, do you want to pop the link into that live? I'll see if I can find it. Now it's 5 a.m. for me tomorrow morning, but for you guys it's nope, hang on. No, there isn't a link yet. Wow, yeah, 12 hours from now. There you go, 12 hours from now. Have you got a link for your late night thingy? Oh. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that'll do. No worries. Yeah, so we will be on his channel in about 12 hours from now for late night with Kettle Kitchen. And then I will be doing my March roundup Tuesday live next Tuesday. I will also be on Ginger's channel for Thursday for Craft and Chat, and on Friday back here again for our this what we're doing here right now. Okay, so I do have videos that need to go up. I may not be able to get as much done this week as I would hope, but there are at least 3 or 4 places that you're going to find me this week live. So if I don't get the videos up, please excuse me. It's just that between my health and the workshop that is going on in my house right now, it's making videoing fun. But I'll do what I can. Okay, we'll do what we can. All right, darling. So I will see you guys later on. Have a really, really awesome rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here and putting up with me. Yes, we did talk about this yesterday. Give myself some grace. Yes, absolutely. I will absolutely take care of myself. Thank you, Ginger. And I will see you. I will see you when I see you. Okay. I love you guys. Bye.